Breaking news. Military drills in the Sea of Japan between Russia and China have concluded. The Russian Defense Ministry announced on Sunday that Russia and China had concluded their naval exercises in the Sea of Japan as part of their efforts to strengthen their military ties. Russia's offensive in Ukraine in 2022, which China did not condemn, brought the two powerful countries closer together militarily because of their shared goal of countering what they see as American hegemony. The Russian Defense Ministry had previously stated that the primary objective of the latest exercises, which kicked off on Thursday, was to strengthen naval cooperation between the two countries and maintain stability and peace in the Asia-Pacific region. A statement released by the Russian military on Sunday confirmed that the joint naval exercises between Russia and China had concluded in the Sea of Japan. The Army claims to have conducted about 20 combat exercises, some of which involved joint artillery fire on maritime, coastal, and air targets. 2 anti-submarine vessels, 2 corvettes, and auxiliary vessels made up the Russian Navy's contingent, as reported by the Russian Ministry of Defense. A guided missile destroyer is among the 5 warships Beijing has pledged to send. There were also naval aircraft involved. China and Russia have held a number of joint military drills in recent months in an effort to improve communication and cooperation. Presidents of China and Russia signed a declaration in March pledging to engage in regular joint patrols, in an effort to deepen mutual trust, during Xi Jinping's visit to Moscow. South Korea had to send in the F-16s as a precaution after a joint air patrol between China and Russia over the East and Japan Seas in June. That was the 6th joint patrol between China and Russia in the region since 2019. AFP earlier this week, Russia called off the grain deal because Moscow claimed its demands for easing agricultural exports had not been met. Odessa, one of the ports through which Kyiv shipped grain under the deal, and other regions of Ukraine have been under bombardment by Russia for days, and Russia has reinstated its naval blockade of Ukrainian ports. Furthermore, it has threatened to attack any vessel in the Black Sea. For its part, Russia has stated that it will not extend the agreement unless Western sanctions are lifted, particularly the prohibition on Russian banks' use of SWIFT. Many banks are still linked to SWIFT, and the European Union, which backs the Ukrainian grain export deal, has said that Russian grain and fertilizer are not subject to the sanctions. The United Nations criticized Russia for not extending the agreement, saying that it would lead to more deaths from hunger in the world's poorest regions. The Kremlin's refusal to extend the deal is not a matter of sadness or disappointment for many of the 362 million people in 69 countries who rely on food aid. UN Emergency Relief Coordinator Martin Griffiths said as much on Friday before the UN Security Council in New York. They are not depressed but rather enraged. They're fretful and anxious about it. Some people are going to have to starve. He warned that many lives could be lost due to the choices being made. Zhang Shuang, China's deputy permanent representative to the United Nations, urged the United Nations Security Council on Monday for an immediate restart of grain and fertilizer exports from Russia and Ukraine. According to state media in China, Zhang Shuang, China's deputy permanent representative to the United Nations, stressed the significance of the Black Sea grain deal for global food security during a meeting of the United Nations Security Council on Friday. He also expressed China's desire for an early resumption of grain and fertilizer exports from Russia and Ukraine in coordination with the appropriate United Nations agencies. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, president of Turkey, had previously asked his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin to revive the agreement brokered by the United Nations and Turkey. He also asked Western countries to take Russia's demands into account. Russia, Ukraine, Turkey, and the United Nations signed an agreement in Istanbul last July to create a safe corridor through the Black Sea for exports from 3 Ukrainian ports that had been halted since fighting broke out in February 2022. It helped stabilize prices and reduce the severity of a global food crisis by resuming exports of wheat, sunflower oil, fertilizer, and other products from Ukraine, the world's largest exporter of these commodities. This week, Moscow refused to extend the agreement past July 17, citing, not yet implemented, provisions related to its demands. Specifically, Moscow was referring to the elimination of roadblocks for Russia's own fertilizer exports, such as the integration of the state-owned Russian Agricultural Bank into the SWIFT international payment system.